Good evening, APR, and thank you so much for being with us. I know you're currently on the road, so this really speaks to your dedication. So you can let us know where you're at right now.
Thanks, thank you, Aparna, for making this happen. I think I don't know whether it's about dedication, but I think it's about passion for the subject of supply chain. It is about passion for the industry. It is about passion for the fact that academics definitely needs an overhaul in terms of how how the future generation is going to shape up, because there's definitely a massive disconnect, like I was telling you earlier, and it gives me an opportunity to be part of this curriculum advisory group, and it will allow the gap between the industry and academics to be reduced, and maybe someday be that minimal that we just know that, okay, yeah, I need, this is my factory and this is where I need those people from. I think that day will arrive. That day will, I don't know whether I will get to see that day in my career journey, but someone has to start. And I think you guys are doing immensely well by putting up this whole plan, initiative, and action. Today I was actually traveling from a customer meet, and since we were not able to sort of meet up for this short interview, I had to stop up at a dhaba near Faridabad, yeah, which fortunately has an air conditioner on. So this is what logistics is all about, right? You've got to be agile, you've got to be dynamic, you've got to be available. Your products have to be available, yeah. So that is what it is all about, yeah. So it's that's why I'm here.
Absolutely, no, and thank you so much for doing this. So, APR, you've spent so much time in the industry, so maybe just wanted to start out by asking you, how do you see the current demand in the land transportation space evolving? Since you've maybe entered the sector, and what do you see as the future?
So massive demand, like I was talking about the other day, Aparna. The gap is huge. The gap is huge. Difficult to actually statistically plot a number. We are a large country, right, and highly populated as well, right. The fact that India has about 151,000 kilometers of national highways and overall a road network of around 50 lakh kilometers, yeah, which is actually connecting manufacturing to consumption, right? Trading to consumption. Be it through rail, be it through road, all of this basically that creates a lot of indispensable dependency on land transportation. Okay? And rail is an integral part of land transportation, which is heavily burdened with passenger movement. Though the government is working phenomenally well on creating freight corridors, etc. But let's face it. Let's face the reality that our roads are going to take most of the weight in terms of the movements and in terms of the dependability. So there's massive gap. There's massive opportunity in this sector. I think courtesy Corona, a lot of people started now talking a lot about logistics and supply chain. I think Nirmala Sitharaman spoke about it in a budget. Modi ji has spoken about it a dozen times now in the last 10-month period, 10-12-month period. Everybody is speaking that language. And so this sector definitely, there's not a single product that this sector does not touch.
Absolutely.
Right. So it was probably a stepchild once upon a time, but now that stepchild has probably studied well and joined the sector of supply chain again. Yeah. So there's massive demand. There's massive opportunity. There's no two ways about it.
Absolutely, and we've seen the e-commerce space just grow even during the last year and a half during the pandemic. So, and
yes.
Obviously the transportation sector forms the backbone of that. So I think absolutely you're right that the demand is just going to keep increasing. So you touched upon something initially, saying that there is this supply-demand skill mismatch. So can you sort of elaborate a little bit on that? Because You again, been in the industry for so long. Just if you could talk to us a little bit about where you see are those, big kinks in the supply-demand mismatch for skills specifically for this sector.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So Aparna, see, road transportation is highly unorganized, okay? And there's a reason why it is highly unorganized. The most important reason is that we got our independence only a few decades ago, right? So we are a young country, right? And we were always under the shadows of others, and therefore strategies, etc., were not in our hand, our control, right? So primarily when we had sort of foreign interests in India, yeah. So that interest was to make money out of India, right? So every sector had to work hard to till and give money to the investors, so to speak, who were Britishers, right? Now, agriculture was always the bread and butter of this country. GDP contribution from agriculture has always been the highest. Even today, it is a sizable number. Right? So the entire transportation infrastructure was created keeping agriculture in mind, keeping those core infrastructures in mind. So if road is developing, if national highways are developing, then you would notice that there is a different truck type that is getting developed to sort of use, to be put to use rather. So while slowly and steadily these industries were growing, the skills for these industries were always sort of taking a backseat. What do I need for an agrarian supply chain? What skills do I need? So there's a school of agriculture. There are many schools of agriculture rather. They will teach you about how to sow. They will teach you about how to till. They will teach you about how to reap the benefits of, how to sort of produce a crop. But anything beyond that, there's a limitation. And whatever has been taught is dated. So it is 20 years ago, it's the same model was going. So whatever people are learning, or students are learning, kids are learning, they are learning things that are not relevant today, in today's era. Yeah. So you touched upon e-commerce, right? So in the last 12 months, we saw how digital sort of suddenly got recognized. Amazon has been there for the last close to 8 years, but it got a lot of recognition. The Swiggies, the Zomatos, they all got a lot of recognition because you can't step out of your house, right? So when they got recognition means they made money. Their brands sort of became more solidified. So they were able to do that because they actually pulled themselves up. They brought themselves up to the need of the hour, to the need of the time. So I see a massive gap in terms of demand and supply skill mismatch, right? I see a massive gap there because not what is relevant is not being taught. What is needed in the industry is not being taught, right? So with the Delhi Skills University, the government getting serious about it, I can clearly see an initiative. I am super thrilled to be a part of this, where we will actually try and diminish this gap as much as possible.
We've obviously had, a lot of training providers in the past that have been giving short-term courses, etc. Do you think there is an answer to, the skill, demand supply skill mismatch that we just spoke about? And do you think that the degree programs could really sort of solve for this?
So I wouldn't say that the degree programs would solve it completely, but I think it's important to start, right? So when a child is born, there's a different diet the child has to follow, and as the child grows, there's a different diet, right? You've got to increase consumption, you've got to take a lot of nutrients, etc., right? There are supplements also. Similarly, I think this is the beginning. This is the beginning. This course is designed well, and as we progress, I'm pretty sure we will be improving on a almost real-time basis, on an every year curriculum basis. Because the way I look at it, Aparna, it is important. See, we've all understood there's a gap, yeah? And we've all understood that we have to have solutions to those gaps. But there's no one solution that is going to fit all. It's not like a IIM, MBA, a PGDM, BM program, which is going to answer and make a sudden change in the industry. So demand and supply planning, yeah, it is very relevant to land transportation. Balanced scorecard is very relevant. Theory of constraints is very relevant. Lean in terms of gap identification and solution is quite relevant. Sustainability. Now we all talk about sustainability in terms of environment, in terms of fossil fuel emission, etc., right? Yes, that is required, and I will urge everybody that they should do their bit to contribute there. But there is one more thing that is required in terms of sustainability. The user community and the service community has to sustain. They both have to coexist. It is an ecosystem, right? So sustainability is very important.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing those inputs. And, that's exactly why the Bachelor's in Management Studies, or the BMS in Land Transportation, that the Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University is offering, is involving industry from the get-go, so that we can, get these inputs right from the start, and, include that in the curriculum, have the industry as very strong partners in the curriculum design and the implementation. And of course, apprenticeship and internships are going to be a very important part, so that, students who are going through the courses will actually, get exposure to the industry early on as well. And of course, there's nothing like practical and hands-on experience. So, I think those are some of the things that really will bring the course to life and make it unique. APR, one question, again, you've seen the course structure. Any thoughts on what kind of jobs, students would be graduating from this course, could be looking to get?
So let me first primarily congratulate and thank the team of DSEU and Asha Impact that you were able to put together a good curriculum. Yeah, it is definitely going to help. And not only help, like I said, it is important to start, right? No one was doing anything towards this direction. And it's a massive step you guys have taken. I'm very happy to be a part of it. These courses are going to help in more than many ways. There's a massive disconnect, like I said, between what the industry wants and what overall educational institutes deliver, right? I'm not saying that all of that is not good enough, but it's nice to have a kind of category, not a must-have category. And what the industry needs is a must-have, right? So I believe that these courses, the curriculum of these courses are designed keeping the must-have in mind, and hence it will help. And the kind of jobs people can expect, I would say, depending on individual EQ and IQ levels as well, because that again is important. Just a college score, a degree score is not only relevant, right? So if I have to assume that the kids are all going to have a decent above average IQ, EQ, and learning from these courses, I think they stand a very, very good chance to compete with some of the, I would say, second to Ivy League business schools, yeah, to get opportunities as GETs or management trainees, where your initial 6 months are sort of on-the-job training to understand finer nuances of that organization, that specific organization. Not about supply chain, but that specific organization of how it works. And after that, a typical job of an assistant manager, maybe in operations, maybe in fleet management, maybe in solutions designing, maybe in sales, maybe in marketing. So the field is going to be wide open. Yeah, the field is going to be wide open, and there is no such enterprise which would not want students with sort of a knowledge that has been pre-obtained rather. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I guess maybe the last question, from us would be any advice that you have for students, who are wanting to pursue a career in this field, given that you've, had a fairly long running in this sector as well. And what, according to those, essential skills that are indispensable for somebody who wants to make it big in this sector?
Well, so I've been in this sector for over 2 decades now, yeah, and I've been in this sector on, in different roles rather. I've been on the user side with organizations like GE, Godrej, Jubilant, Yeah, I've been on the service side with organizations like DHL, Excel, Gati, yeah, Varuna. So yes, I have a fair understanding in terms of how this industry works. I may not be, a Nobel laureate in this field, but yeah, I have a fair understanding of what this industry is all about. I think one piece of advice which is very important, and this may sound very philosophical, but it isn't. It is a necessity. Uh, it is very important to have that sense of pride for the industry, and there is a solid reason behind it. If we understand that supply chain wars can be won with a strong supply chain. This was a very old saying that I don't recollect who said it, but I remember it goes by this, that a country whose supply chain is the strongest will be on the winning side of the war, and the losing country will be on the losing side of the war, right? And if you talk to any army veterans who've been part of battles and wars, they will tell you that supplies, if supplies don't reach them, they can't fight a war, right? Food supplies, ammunition supplies, everything, engineering supplies, whatever, right? So it is very important for students to realize and understand that this is one industry which is, I consider it slightly better than even medicine or healthcare as an industry, because supply chain touches even healthcare. Supply chain touches healthcare, it touches automotive, it touches FMCG, and there's no industry which gets not touched upon by supply chain. So everything from a toothpaste to a bag of oil or a can of oil that we all use at home, everything moves through the supply chain. So when we all think about it, that how important this industry is for the survival of the world, then you will realize that sense of pride will sort of seep in, and you will feel very happy about the fact that you're part of this industry. So you're not a doctor, but you're ensuring that that doctor can carry out all the medical procedures that are required. Without you, it is going to be difficult in anything and everything. So once there's a sense of pride, then you will feel very good about working in this industry. And if you feel good about working in any industry, if you love your job, you're passionate about your job, then no one is going to stop you from growing in that field, right? So that is my advice to the future of the country, the future of supply chain, that please be proud of what you do, be proud of supply chain, be proud of the fact that we touch upon everything, and without us, there's a lot of dependability on us as an industry. So we have to be responsible. Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic way to conclude. I think it almost brings us a full 360, because when you started, you said it's the passion that's bringing you on the road and making you do this. And of course, you need to be agile and dynamic and flexible. So, Ipia, thanks so much for your time, and really looking forward to collaborating you for this course. And of course, DSEU and LSE, who are the two partners coming together to put this course. We really hope students take this course and are really able to build careers for themselves going forward in the land transportation space. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and all the best.